Hey, and welcome back. This lesson is all about how to practice. It's probably going to be one of the most important lessons on the website because how you practice determines the rate at which you get better, or if you get better at all. A lot of students I have trouble getting better and I ask them, well, how are you practicing? Show me how you're practicing. And they just kind of run through the piece they're working on from beginning to end. And I say, well, is that how you practice? Yeah, I just kind of go through things, and that's sort of the brute force method. You don't always learn a lot from doing that. You might make the same mistake over and over again, and then you're just ingraining that mistake. So just remember that practice doesn't necessarily make perfect. Practice makes permanent. So you want to make sure that you're practicing smart so that you get the most out of your practice. And really awareness of, you're constantly listening to what's coming out of your instrument and kind of critiquing that. Definitely take things in smaller pieces, like even one measure or 3 notes or whatever, and work on that, get them better, and then go back out and back up and do a couple of measures before eventually building a whole phrase. This sort of detailed practice and then stepping back and looking at the bigger picture is very beneficial. And also repetition. So I'm going to kind of go through the courant from the first cello suite and show you how I would work on this and my process of practicing. So first thing you have to do is just play. See if you can play, and you just want to listen to what's happening. So I'll take that. That was pretty good. The articulation could have been a little better. So I'll try to focus on some tools of your technique in the fingers and the bow. So making sure I'm not moving too quickly, but really letting time for the hair to grab the string. Okay, I noticed that was out of tune. So I'll go back and tune. I'm going to start at the beginning now, see if we can tell that together. This is good here. We're going to carefully check that B for intonation. Also the C. So intonation is probably the first thing you listen for when you're practicing something. Does it sound in tune? Then you want to be thinking about, like, well, what's the tone like I'm getting? And then also the phrase. Are you being musical and taking this anywhere? So switching out the things that you're working on is a good habit to be in. You might practice one thing with just playing in tune, and you're just sitting there. You're just tuning up the third position up here in an open hand shape. And then you might say, well, did I give that enough shape? And then decaying there. But you're just trying to be as detailed as possible, and anything you hear that you didn't like, go back and try to fix that and improve upon it. This method of practicing is the best way to go, rather than just trying to play through from beginning to end. That does you some good. It helps you get from beginning to end without stopping. But you don't really learn a whole lot from the process. You're just kind of adapting on the fly at that point, and anything that does go wrong is in the past. So when you're performing music, you go into a different mode. You go into performance mode, and at that point you can't dwell on any mistake. You have to stay in the moment. But when you're practicing, you can put everything under the microscope and kind of evaluate how you do it. So it might be a shift that's giving you trouble. Oh, I missed that one. So I'm zeroing in on trying to get that shift right. And I'll look at this far and just play, break it down to that. After like 3 or 4 times of getting it right, then you probably got it, and back up again. And hopefully it gets better. So that's how you kind of build things a little bit at a time. Then you want to give yourself, all right, then you want to run through. After you've done the detailed practice, now it's time to kind of, let's see where we're at overall. And usually it's gotten much better. But then give yourself a couple of run-throughs too. So that way it's not like just one run-through that you're judging by, because you're going to get a little bit better each time you run through it, but you've done the detailed kind of zoomed in work on every measure to get it as in tune and as good a sound as you can. And the phrasing stuff too. So when you're working on like scales and warm-ups, that's when you want to be really mindful of all your technique and really work on that stuff. So anything, I think what this boils down to is always think about something when you're practicing. Don't just go on autopilot and kind of go through the motions. You'll find that you get a lot better much more quickly if you're really mindful of what you're doing. So there's all sorts of things. You want to kind of develop an arsenal of techniques that you can kind of use to fix issues. The first thing you want to do is ask yourself, well, why did I miss that shift, or why did I get a bad sound there? There was one spot I was practicing earlier, and I was having trouble getting this A string. I kept getting a scratchy sound, and it was my finger was blocking as I was doing that string crossing, so I thought to play on the tips of my fingers more. That helped, but then sometimes it would still happen, so I thought, well, just maybe think about how it feels when it sounds good. I think I'm transferring the weight more evenly during that string crossing, and whatever angle I was getting was causing the string to squeak instead of play well. So just different techniques like that you can go through and develop a process of sort of solving the problems you're having. And hopefully you can use some of the technique videos I've talked about, like finger balance. That's such a good thing. And string crossings, help using the fingers to help you change strings as well as the elbow. Arm weight, all that good stuff. And over time, things will get better. Just understand that it does take time, and be patient. You might feel like in a practice session, I've been working so hard and I don't feel like I've improved. But you've probably improved a lot more than you think. You just need some time away to make things fresh again. You can get really burned out after spending like 30 minutes to an hour on one thing, or one section of music or whatever, and then think, I'm not getting any better, but really you are. You just have to give it some time away, come back to it, and you'll see the improvement. So if you don't see the improvement right then and there, don't give up. Stay with it. And the other thing, I think that maybe just some tips on how to get the most out of using this website. If you're using your phone or tablet and that's all you have, then that's all you have. But if you have a good monitor or a computer, then definitely practice or view the videos on that. A good set of speakers helps a lot, just to hear the audio better. And practice with a mirror. When you're working on technique, you can only observe so much on the cello from our playing position without having to, you don't want to develop habits of looking at your hand like this. So use a mirror to help you see what you're doing. When I was learning violin, I've been learning for about 3 years. I just practiced in front of a mirror a lot, and I've seen a lot of violin players play, so I know what good technique's supposed to look like, and I would watch my bow and kind of learn that way. So a mirror can really be one of your best tools in getting better on your own. Anyway, I hope this video has been helpful with just giving you some examples on how I practice. Try to be as detailed as you can, and just understand that it's the act of repetition that ingrains the muscle memory. But also hearing what you're playing over and over again is going to help you memorize the music. And if you have any questions on how to practice a specific passage, you can always email me and I'll be happy to give you some advice on that. Because I know a lot of different specific technical issues can arise from something, or specific example. So anyway, hopefully this helps you get better at practicing.